Well, we were talking about undershirts and then jumped straight to Hitler, but I do want to start with undershirts. We have Craig Conover on the podcast. Fortunate enough to call him a great friend.
Yeah.
Came on last minute, which I guess I didn't need to tell you guys, but Craig is here. We're really excited to have him. Star of Southern Charm, star of Sewing Down South. Anything else we're plugging early?
Oh, not early. I think organically.
We'll thread it through. But Craig was talking about how he throws on a sweater last minute, doesn't wear undershirts. Yeah. I don't wear undershirts either. I think they're disgusting.
On top of undershirts, I don't wear underwear. So
that's gross.
Now?
You
have to throw away the shares.
I'm just being honest. After high school, I had such a terrible experience of, I don't think my mom really splurged on stuff. Like she bought like the cheapest socks, cheapest boxers, cheapest, which I mean, she was a school teacher. She didn't know any better. So I had such a bad experience of boxers like riding up on me in high school that when I got to college, if I was wearing jeans, I just didn't wear underwear.
So you're currently no underwear. No judgment,
No.
I'm just asking.
But then I watched, I'm a single-use jeans guy.
No. That is really unbelievable. It takes such self-confidence and a perfect physique to be able to walk around without underwear. Josh, can you fucking imagine walking around with no underwear? I have no opportunity to have my underwear grip my hips. There's nothing between the jeans and your teeth. It's insanity.
I don't think you having just for the listeners, Craig's popping open a spritz right now, having a delicious alcoholic beverage.
Ooh, that is
passion fruit's good, right?
That is good.
Nice, right? Yeah, new flavor.
I don't think you have to have a perfect body to not wear underwear. Because I've seen plenty of fat fatties who don't wear underwear. I just think it's a life choice, and I think we need to be okay with the fact that we have high tech fabric, and that Craig, you are rich, and that we can fix this. We can fix this trauma.
Yeah, I think I need some advice because Josh's reaction wasn't great. You know, he was like, "That is gross."
It's weird. No, I'm not gonna lie. It's very bizarre. Like we're all friends.
With suit pants, I wear like compression briefs or like at the gym.
Have you tried just the general cotton brief?
No.
So that I think would be more comfortable for you. I understand like a boxer short with jeans. It's very uncomfortable. You can't go.
No,
you can't go
crazy.
around like that. That's crazy.
You're like an extra in the movie Clueless if you walk around like that.
It's too much. And then the tighty whitey is not possible. And the compression, I feel similarly about compressions. You can't wear compressions unless you're incredibly fit. Like I can't. Compressions just sit below my belly. I can't get them up. I like wearing something that I can pull up. Like
I think we just have to be okay with that. We all have our things from our past, but we can correct said behaviors. I was watching Emma Stone and Bradley Cooper were doing that like actors on actors thing during award season. So like Margot Robbie and Cillian Murphy did one. And I love Emma Stone for this. And obviously I was always a fan of her as an actor, but I didn't really know much about her. And Bradley Cooper's talking and he does this like actory thing of closing his eyes as he's like pontificating about something. And Emma Stone goes, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, sorry, I just realized in my older age, I think more easily with my eyes closed." And she goes, "You need to stop that now. We can fix this, babe." And I was like, good for you, Emma. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm not against like growing and evolving, and maybe that's like next on my list is dressing more like an adult.
is it like, did you break this news on this podcast, or people know you don't wear underwear?
Years prior, it was spoken about, but it hasn't been spoken about in years. So
just because I feel like this is a really great opportunity to get a fat fucking check from like MeUndies or Calvin Klein.
Yeah, because I mean, it's authentic.
Yeah,
I mean,
you really don't wear underwear for the right price. I really don't wear underwear either. And then I'll start wearing underwear. Josh, you don't wear underwear, right?
At this point.
Never have, never will.
I fucking hate all underwear except for whoever.
Yeah, who are we going after? Who do you guys wear?
I went from Calvin Klein to Amazon. I think it's called Girdlin. Gardlin?
No, a girdle.
It's called a girdle. It's called Girdlin.
Girdlin. It's like ballin', but for the bigger boys. No, Craig, and don't get me wrong. You are wonderfully dressed. I mean, you literally look like a catalog model right now in the best way. High-end catalog. Like, you're very stylish.
Well, you guys, You guys both look great, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm really impressed. And Josh, I'm just meeting you, but obviously I've seen you through the years. And when I started to see your guys' podcasts, I was like, good for f***ing them. I was like, that's awesome. Because I actually went on kind of a drinking journey about a year ago. 2 years ago, I stopped drinking liquor. And then about a year ago, I really cut back in drinking and got in shape. Because I took so much Adderall through the years that when I stopped, I gained like 30 pounds. And so I've lost 20 pounds over the last year and got back in shape. So I think it's, and that's why I love Spritz, because it's wine based.
Yep.
And the first time we played golf, I was like, that's amazing. But I think the health journey, it really like changes your whole life. You start waking up earlier. I mean, I'm sure you guys talk about all of this, but
yeah, well, the fun part about Josh is he lost all his weight 20 years ago, and and people, including you, still come up to him in the street and say, "Wow, you look great."
Wow!
He's like,
I've
looked great forever.
No, nice. It's very nice.
Me, recent big health kick. Started with a jab of Ozempic. Then once I got down low enough, started taking a wonderful sponsor of the podcast that we absolutely love, Athletic Greens, or AG1. Excuse me. Cut it out. They don't go by Athletic Greens. AG1, and I love it. And I'm amped and I'm ready to lift. Seriously, I'm a machine.
I'm a fan of.
You know what I was thinking? The only thing that would level up the Ozempic publicity game is if they start administering it with a blowgun.
Yeah.
Hear me out.
If you're just walking down the street and just you look like you should use it.
Could you imagine some huge big boy? All of a sudden, you go up to your buddy. You're like, "Hey, Rick."
Long range shooting, just like putting it in your bow, and you're hitting people with Ozempic like 30 yards down the field.
Full contact. Anyway, I've been flying so much that I thought about this the other day. Someone was standing in the middle of one of the walking sidewalks and like not moving over, and I was like, I should be able to just hip check them over the side. And like someone was just walking in the city on their phone, and they were like going diagonal into my path. And I was like, I should be able to just like cross-check them and keep walking. And I just think that would be a fun way to live life.
Craig, do you mind if I ask, is everyone on Adderall? Because you mentioned that you had been on it. I just feel like everyone's
I just told my parents that because my mom, so I stopped taking it after a shark attack in the Bahamas actually 3 years ago. It was quite...
You were attacked by a shark?
Say more.
There were sharks in the water and I couldn't get down to warn so I had moved to the Bahamas for a little bit, and after taking the bar, and so I just kept taking the same amount of Adderall because it was like habitual. So that morning I had woken up taking an Adderall for absolutely no reason other than it made me feel good because it's great. I mean,
I get it.
Great.
We get it.
Yeah, because legal speed is sick.
So I like saw the sharks come up and I was on Shark Patrol and I couldn't catch my breath because it was my first time ever seeing one in the water to get down, only because the Adderall. Anyway, I shouldn't have been taking Adderall if I didn't have anything to study for. So, and I had never filmed without it because it made filming so easy because I was like, I did, like if I didn't want to talk about something, I'd just take an Adderall and be like, okay, what do you want to know?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, who am I talking shit about? Let's go. So I stopped about 3 years ago and I was just talking to my mom about it. And we're getting to that phase in our relationship where one of my goals this year was to be a better son. Cause like I feel like I stressed her out way more than I realized, like in college, I would just go dark or like not call her. And she was like, yeah, like I used to pray for you a lot. I used to be worried. And she's like, I'm just so happy to have you, where you're at now. And I was like, Mom, you're aware that like everyone takes Adderall. And she's like, really? Because she said something about Adderall. And we just had that conversation where I'm like, because I can pick up on it now, like people in my life that don't advertise it, but like in business and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that person takes like a lot of Adderall. Also, I take a long time to land the plane now that I don't take Adderall. So you can cut a lot of my filler, but
no, this is interesting.
I agree. It's interesting.
I think it's interesting. And I think it is the obviously not medical professional here. cannot speak to every case. But in some cases I've seen where I've had friends who were on it and got into that sort of habit of this idea that it just, in quotes, makes them better, a better version of themselves. And then for whatever reason, their insurance lapses, they can't get in contact with their dealer. Let's be honest here. They get off of it and they can be rather charming. Like a whole different side comes out. And what I would say to all the people that are on it, and I would agree, is we can tell. We can tell you're laced up.
We can definitely tell. And what I'd also say is it's 100% this like country's fault that Adderall is something that people feel that they need to take, and the school system, because you said everybody takes it, and it's because there's so much pressure for everybody to be the exact same person and excel in the exact same ways.
And you know who
doesn't? And there are certain people who are not programmed to be able to sit and study and retain the level of information that is required in school, which is what pushes so many people to take Adderall. Like there was a year where I took Vyvanse. It's the same thing, but I took it because I was definitely I wasn't retaining information in the same way that I knew that I needed to in school. And then you take it and then it becomes something that you just like, you're like, oh, I'm so much smarter on this.
Well,
but you're smarter in a different way.
Into a page, like riveting page turning novel. You're like, I'll read this entire science textbook.
Yeah.
Overnight. But you know who doesn't take Adderall?
Who?
Kids who are prescribed Adderall or Ritalin when they were little. They absolutely hate it.
Oh, you're saying,
if they were young enough and they were prescribed it, they don't take it.
Or they're on it forever.
Or they're on it forever. What's funny, so this will be my first organic plug. After writing my book called Pillow Talk,
nice.
I've had some higher up celebrities and athletes come to me and be like, hey, and ask me about my like Adderall journey and be like, it affects my relationship with my spouse, affects my relationship with my kids because of, it makes you irritable. And you're so in your head that you're not really present. And so they're like, are you as productive as you used to be? And I'm like, no, like, of course not. Like, I can't do like 3 night all-nighters, but I was like, but I'm happier. And my time is more efficient. And that's the thing.
I think you're also productive in different ways and you don't realize it. Like when somebody's on Adderall, they're very good at checking a task off, like checking a box, right? And moving through a list.
Except the main one that you have to check off.
Yes, that's true because you save it for the end. But when you're not on it, I think that you're just a more creative person. You think, like, at least for me, like my brain is not meant to run at that speed on these tasks. It's just not normal.
Well, it's hard to find the balance. Like I was allowed to stand at my desk as a kid, which I found out later in life. And if I was allowed to stand, like I could pay attention to what was going on. But if they forced me to sit, I was like a nuisance.
Did you take Adderall as a kid?
No. So my junior year of college, I went from academic probation to Dean's List. Because I discovered Adderall and my roommate like gave it to me and I called my parents because my dad's really against like a normal person against like overprescribed like stuff.
Yep.
And I was like, hey, so I found this thing that really helps me. And they were like, Craig, we've always known that you could use medicine. You just never got to the point of needing it. Like I was able to get by. So I was like, I think it would just be better if I was prescribed it than, getting it off the streets. So I got a prescription my junior year of college, crushed, like I went to Dean's List the second 2 years and then crushed law school. But it was good at the time. And then, it ran its course in my life. And I think that's one of the things with it is no one talks about it. Cause like, you're just like, oh, a doctor gave it to me. It can't be bad for you. But like people are like, well, yeah, it turns into a...
Wrong. This episode of the Good Guys podcast is brought to you by Caraway. Want to cook like Ben Soffer, celebrity chef? Want to slice and dice, throw your onions, your gorgeous broccoli, cauliflower, anything that you can dream up in a beautiful nonstick pan? Well, Caraway's got you covered. Caraway pots and pans. I have the green ones that you guys have seen in my cooking videos, and I absolutely love them. 1, because they're incredibly functional, but 2, because they are just gorgeous. They're gorgeous, gorgeous pans that will make you feel great about cooking in your kitchen. Also, non-toxic. Caraway products are made without any toxic materials like PFAS, PTFE, PFOA, or other hard-to-pronounce chemicals. Easy cooking. Ceramic's naturally slick surface means minimal oil or butter for slide-off-the-pan eggs and easy cleaning. Slide-off-the-pan everything, folks. These pans, non-stick, unbelievable. You want to make a nice ribeye? Make a nice ribeye. You don't need a ton of oil. Just throw the cow on the pan. Caraway is unbelievable. And it's well loved. Over 65,000 people have rated 5 stars about their Caraway kitchen. Now it's time for you to try it for yourself, folks. And again, I have it. You should have it. You will absolutely love it. And it comes with this beautiful organizational kit. There's like a holder for each one of your pans. It's just unbelievable. My kitchen looks incredible. Part to do with my wife, Claudia, part to do with Caraway. But you know, the combination is just too good to beat. So invest in your cookware because, folks, I have, and I'm telling you, it's worth it. So visit carawayhome.com/goodguys to take advantage of this limited time offer for 10% off your next purchase. This deal is exclusive for our listeners. So visit carawayhome.com/goodguys or use code goodguys at checkout. That's carawayhome.com/goodguys. Caraway, non-toxic cookware made modern. This episode of the Good Guys podcast is brought to you by Nutrafol. Folks, it is what it is. Men, women, we're all going to start to have some thinning in our hair, some shedding. It's totally normal as we get older, but there are things that we can do to help combat that. And Nutrafol is one of those wonderful products. I've used Nutrafol, woke up one morning, saw that my hair was thinning, and like everybody else, did nothing about it. Thought about it again, a month later, looked, I'm like, holy crap, my hair is really thinning. I should probably do something about it. I've been taking Nutrafol and I've been absolutely loving the results. So I was really excited when Nutrafol wanted to start sponsoring the podcast. Did you know that hair thinning will happen to approximately 1 in 2 women? If you're among them, you're not alone. Thinning is normal, but it's not openly talked about, and going through it can feel lonely and frustrating. Join the over 1 million people that are doing something about it with Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement, with over 1 million people seeing thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding. So take the first step to visibly thicker, healthy hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off. That's $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com. That's Nutrafol.com and enter promo code GOODGUYS. Find out why over 4,500 healthcare professionals and hairstylists recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code GOODGUYS. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code GOODGUYS.
Dude, I have a friend who's been on it so long. He's like, well, the doctor prescribes it. I'm like, babe, you're snorting it and you buy it from your housekeeper. We're past the doctor, okay? This is no longer kosher, my boy. Like,
was Adderall even a good drug though, Josh? Like in terms of like,
it's excellent.
You like it? Okay.
Oh, I love.
It's
awesome.
legalized. It's legalized speed in the way that OxyContin is legalized heroin.
Yeah, very good.
It hits all the same pleasure centers.
Very good example. Oh yeah, and it's like meth. Like it was introduced actually as like a dietary supplement, like a weight suppressant, and then they basically found an off-brand use to prescribe it for ADD,
like Ozempic. Diabetes, now fat loss. You guys see Oprah?
I'm telling you.
Did you see Oprah? She finally came out. She said it.
I did see that. Go, Ben. And I actually have the article pulled up because this is why we're the best podcasters in the game.
In the game. And we're just so incredibly obsessed with weight. But Oprah finally, after going from a larger, beautiful woman to an incredibly skinny woman, everybody knew she was on Ozempic because that's how you go from being a larger woman to a skinny woman when historically you've never been able to be a skinny woman. Like it is what it is. And we all knew she was on Ozempic. But for whatever reason, she would not admit that she was on Ozempic. Much like me, Josh, I basically am Oprah. Me and Oprah are the same person.
Yeah, because I
You're
think
Oprah.
I'm Oprah, and she finally came out and was like, "Yeah, I'm on Ozempic." And I think it's also important to note that she owns Weight Watchers, but Weight Watchers also just bought a semaglutide company. I don't think it's Ozempic necessarily, but there's definitely something going on with her saying that she's now comfortable with the jab. Now that Weight Watchers is also comfortable with the jab in their suite of products.
100%. The Page 6 article says Oprah flashes toned figure after admitting to weight loss drug use while out in New York City.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think it's smart. It's forward thinking of Weight Watchers. There's this line in the recovery game, because I'm a sober guy, where it says, science may one day do so, but it hasn't done so yet, right? With like getting sober and like, maybe one day there'll be some brain cure, but there isn't yet. But when it comes to weight loss, as we've seen right now, these kind of drugs can be really helpful. And I think companies like Weight Watchers would be remiss to not be open to it. So
Right.
I think they bought
Is it Golo?
they bought like a telehealth company that basically puts people, their members, in touch with doctors who can prescribe those medications.
I use I didn't know you were on the sober game too. I use an app called Reframe.
Hold on, what does Sober Game 2 mean? Because you just drank it in the middle of the podcast.
No, so here I'll explain it.
Yeah.
And that's why this is so great, because in the Bravo world, like I have a buddy on the show that's about to start his journey with it. There's an app that I use called Reframe, and it's not for getting sober, but it's about changing your relationship with alcohol and completely cutting how much you drink. So like this, obviously like supporting, but would be my first, without trying, this is probably my first drink in like 12 to 13 days, which I used to have like 2 glasses of wine a night. And so now I earn my drinks instead of it being habitual, especially with like filming and going to meet and greets and stuff. All I ever knew was they were drinking events. And so like now I fly so much, I always had red wine on the plane. Like now I have hot tea or soda water. And it really, what the program basically leads to is you just stop drinking, right? So instead of having to like commit to being sober, if you're like, it's different for everyone, you basically get to a point where you don't even care about the drinks that you earned. But like, yeah, so
that's great.
Yeah.
I think, look, just because I abstain completely, like anyone who finds a new, like the app sounds great. Like I am such a big proponent of like, if you find something that works for you, that's amazing. Like but it sounds, maybe I'll get the app and I'll drink a little.
But the accountability, the accountability is the hardest part. And for me, but it's funny because most people are like, that doesn't exist. It's either all or nothing. And that always like kind of prevented me from even starting the journey. And so the app is funny because like, a lot of times when people get sober or work, start their journey, it's like, well, what happened the day before that? Right. Obviously that.
Sure.
And if you're lucky enough, it wasn't like a bottom. And so the app helps you stay accountable by being like, hey, you're coming up on a period that usually for people would be, well, maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I jumped the gun, and you can go back and like read your notes. And anyway.
And it's called Refresh.
Reframe.
Do you own this app?
No.
Okay, cool.
No
I'm just
affiliation.
And so anybody
And it teaches you the science. Like all of a sudden, like your weight loss is, you start to like your skin gets, it's not rocket science. When you stop drinking poison, like your skin gets better and like, not that it's poison, but your skin gets better and your body.
100%.
And so it teaches you the science behind it, which makes it a little more, entertaining.
And that's why Spritz Society is a wonderful low alcohol alternative to the harder stuff.
But it really is. I drank it on the way to Taylor Swift, and I was like, I didn't realize it was yours at first. And I was like, this is something I can get behind.
Yeah, it's light, Josh, a shame. But that said, download the Refrain app and start drinking again. That's the
maybe it'll help me get into drinking. Listen, I've been chewing Nicorette for years with the hope that I'll get to a pack a day.
How long have you been sober for?
15 years.
Congrats, man. That's awesome.
Thanks. It works for me, you know?
And I have to I have to correct myself on the last time I saw you on the screen, because you're right. You were not big. I texted Ben, actually. I watched Red Dawn on a plane the other day.
Oh, Christ.
And you popped up, and I was like, this is like amazing. I texted Ben right away, and I was like, I didn't know your buddy was in this. I was like, I'm so locked in.
He's in everything.
Oh,
He's an A-list actor. Oppenheimer, Nolan. He's going to be the next Batman.
That's awesome.
God bless. God, thank you. It means so much. Craig, do you mind if we get into like, I'm sure you've talked about it ad nauseum, but I'd love to hear a little bit of the origin story about like, I mean, God bless my sister-in-law, Taylor O'Brien, shout out, who has sent me a list of questions for you because she's such a big fan of Southern Charm and everything you do. But I'd love to hear how you got into the Bravo-verse.
Yeah, it's actually, when I wrote the book, I knew that NBC was going to have to screen it. So I was basically able to be open about everything and then be like, well, I'm not going to get in trouble because NBC is just going to take all this out. They actually left the entire casting and foundation of this story in, which was cool. And it was the first time that I had gotten to talk about it. And I really haven't talking about it in interviews. So that's a good thing. So for you
Okay,
guys,
flip it.
So I was in my second year of law school, and I got a Facebook message from a girl that I had known from college, and it was like, excuse me, I can feel it like building in my chest. Like I drink a lot of carbonation.
You want water? Or you want a big
no,
burp?
it's fine.
We could burp you.
Probably at some point.
I'll cut it out in the D script. Don't worry.
So she was like, hey, I work for a guy that's coming to film a docuseries in Charleston, and he needs someone to show him around. If anyone finds out a docuseries is coming to their town, it means a reality show is coming to their town. They just call it a docuseries. And so I took these guys out for like a month. Excuse me, there it is. So I took these guys out for like a month, and they were footing the bill for everything. Like, we'd go to the bar, because I was like 23, 24, and I had gone to college at Charleston. No, I was 22 or 23. I had gone to college at Charleston, so I knew the area. Like, all my friends were the bartenders. And so we just partied for like a month. Said yes. And because, you know, it's a lot of times people are like not dating two people, but they're like, well, should I pick Brian or Matt? And you're like, you know exactly who you want me to tell you to pick, and you should go with that guy. Anyway, I have that conversation way too many times. But 5 years later, I was in front of the Supreme Court of South Carolina, all 5 justices, explaining to them what a reality show was and what my relationship with some of the other cast members were. So,
Why? Because they wanted to disbar you, or
it was, so I had passed my bar, and you still have to get like allowed to join to become a lawyer. And they were confused. You know, someone had written in and was like, you know, I'm not sure if this is the best candidate for the South Carolina bar. So I just had to go and explain, you know, everything and be like, I'll never embarrass the bar. Like, I'm not going to bring clients on TV. And they let me in,
because
which is good.
A lawyer, in the same way like a psychologist or someone, like if you got a DUI or something, there's a chance that you could lose your license.
Right. And yeah, so usually you have to go in front of the board if you had a DUI or a drug charge or something like that.
Like a character
it's
assessment.
character and fitness, yeah. So it's exactly what it is. They just weren't used to, I mean, in South Carolina, there's not a lot of people on TV that are lawyers. It's not like New York and LA. And, you know, times are changing a little bit. But so I joined the show, and the 6th episode is when I made my mark. And it's the first time I showed up to set and had been drinking. And I kind of just went for it. Like, I just said what I would usually say. And there's this like dinner fight scene. And I found out, you know, later on that that's when they were like, all right, I think this guy's going to stick.
Wow. And what's the Bravo universe now? I mean, when you see like BravoCon, and I don't mean to brag, but I went to Kathy Hilton's Christmas
you
party.
were there.
It was nuts.
We were out there.
You were there?
No, I wasn't at the party, but my girlfriend Paige was being honored at a variety event. And so we were staying down at the Four Seasons down there, and I was like, oh shit, there's a big party going on down the street. So we
Well, I mean, my wife, Paige, in fact, was like, she doesn't want to go nowhere. She doesn't care about, she doesn't even care about me. But we got invited to this party, and she was like, we must go.
Oh, that's fun.
I have already contacted a babysitter. We are good. And it was, I mean, you know, the Vanderpump people who were, you know, a couple of them were friends with, and some housewives and Kyle Richards and some of the Real Housewives of Utah that my wife was having a fucking meltdown about. Like, people are obsessed with Bravo.
Yeah, it's, well, I have to add too, I spent a lot of time Googling, should I do a reality show back then? And it didn't produce any results. So I actually Facebooked Cameron Eubanks at the time from Real World. And I was like, hey, I have no one else to ask. Can I pick your brain? And she was like, I have actually been asked to do this show too. And then we decided to do the show. That was I'd forgotten that part. But the Bravo universe, it's funny because I was just, me and Paige, my Paige, I don't know your Paige yet.
You guys could wife swap.
Yeah. What a crazy show. So we went and spoke to, we were asked to speak at 30 Rock at to NBC's creative content team. And I was like, you got to start using us for more. I was like, I know you like keeping us in this bubble of reality TV, but like after BravoCon and just seeing the engagement, I mean, I think there's something more there, but I mean, the Bravo universe is just an incredible group, like a platform. Like, it's huge. Like, your TV is either on ESPN or Bravo in a household for a lot of the people.
Right.
And, you know, it's been, I wouldn't change a thing. Obviously, it's been a decade. I started filming when I was 24. I'm 35 now. And there's been plenty of times that, you know, weren't ideal, but it's been great. I mean, BravoCon was nuts. You know, it was cool.
It sounds like, and obviously you're under contract, so I understand you can't completely answer this truthfully, but from my friends who've been on reality shows, well, I'll tell you, so I'm hosting this cooking competition show, right? Best Bite wins for Roku.
We got Roku at the apartment. Hey man,
that's right.
Hosting's kind of a dream job, so congrats. That's great.
Thanks, but my question was, so we're dealing with a bunch of producers who like come from that world of reality shows and whatnot. And what was fascinating for me was to see these chefs, as soon as the timer was on and the task was introduced, drama just emerged because people felt pressure and there were cameras on them, and all of a sudden people are, you know, within reason, it's a cooking competition show, right? But like, they're kind of lashing out at each other a little bit, and people are getting emotional and they're like really feeling the heat. And I turned to these producers who have like worked in reality TV for forever, and I'm like, this is unbelievable. And they looked at me and said, yeah, and we're not even evil.
Right.
Like, there's some reality shows that are evil. So, I mean, what's that like? How much are the producers kind of helping move things along?
So I call it structured improv. I think the best example, and no one should, you know, no one, and if they got mad at me for this, they shouldn't, because it's true. Their job's to help tell a story. And so if we were filming a scene for Southern Charm and we're in the middle of the season and the three of us go to dinner and we talk about that one time we did a podcast together in New York, like, it's a waste of time. Like we could talk about that, but we also have to address the big fight at the party last week, and we have to address the affair that's happening between our two friends. And so if we like weren't talking about that, you know, a producer might encourage us to be like, hey, this is great what you guys are talking about, but also we'd love to hear your thoughts on so-and-so. Now, however you answer that and whatever your thoughts may be are going to be completely genuine and 100%, you know? So there's some motivation. Like, a good producer will help motivate stuff. And that's just because of efficiency of time. You know, if you're not doing a surveillance show, you don't have the cameras all day. They can't wait for the three of us to get back in the car, play 9 holes, and then be like, you know what? Actually, I thought it was pretty crazy what Emily did at the party. So they can, and a lot of times, like, you might be filming with someone that doesn't talk about relationships, like my buddy Shep. I remember our second year, we were like hunting. We were shooting some bird. It's probably I never know what we're doing when we're hunting, but Shep's a big hunter. And, like, he was dating someone new, and I wanted to know if he had ever been in love, and he didn't really want to talk about his past. And so, when we're getting another beer or something, a producer might slide in to Shep and be like, hey man, we really think you should open up about your dating history and explain why that's important. But I mean, there are bad eggs. I mean, there's a reason I look forward to the day that we can share war stories, or they make a show about behind the scenes, because, it's the production world's small, and like, there's like, one individual that I worked with that kind of shaped the way that, like, Paige and I love filming together, but she gets stressed out sometimes because she's like, you don't respect authority, Craig. Like, you don't let anyone tell you what to do, and you don't follow any rules. And she was like a good child. So there's everyone has like a workplace persona. Like, basically when I say like a producer would come in and maybe motivate something, like, my reaction to that is going to be a lot different than other people's, because I think I know better.
Yeah.
Sorry.
When we had my good friend Kristen Doty on the podcast, and she illuminated something interesting, which was this idea of these producers, you work with them for years, you become close, they are your friends, they are people that you would invite to a birthday and that you would hang out with on a holiday. But she said, but then there is the other side of it, whereas, like, if you said anything that you didn't want on TV, there's no take back. There's no version where you look at that producer and go, please don't air that, or don't put that on. Now, they might, out of the kindness of their heart, just cut it out because they don't want you to get in trouble, but they might not. She's like, so it's weird having that relationship of, these are people you do feel very close with, but you're not totally safe.
Yeah, I mean, it's
with that.
It's also, there's gotta be a work-life balance. Like, when you're, like, for me, like, I have a great relationship with my producers, but that doesn't mean I'm a yes man, So, like, we might butt heads when we're working, but then we'll be able to, have a drink afterwards. And I'm not ever going to take it personally. But, like, yeah, like Stassi's wedding that we couldn't make it out for, which sucked. But, like, a lot of our old producers were there. And I know the Vanderpump cast is very close with theirs. There's, to Kristen's credit, but to elaborate on that, it's divided very well. So, like, principal photography would be when you're filming. Once the camera captures that, it's no one's decision in that workspace what happens to that footage. So, like, that goes to New York or LA, and then those people make that decision. So there is kind of there's checks and balances on, people not getting too close to each other. If you have a good relationship with your sound guy,
I was going to say, it sounds like Kristen needs the relationships that Craig has, because you're saying, Josh, one thing. Craig clearly has a guy inside at Bravo where he's like, you can't air
your
that.
Sound guy might turn your volume down a little bit, and you might have audio issues.
And Craig's been through 5 sound guys. 4 happen to end up in the river. It's neither here nor there. But
yeah, I know an actor who was talking shit in between scenes in a car scene. He was talking about the director of photography just like taking forever to set up shots and the lighting, and he was really digging into him. And this guy's a real piece of shit. And the actor, not the DP. And so clearly the sound guy knew that most sound people go by a code, which is if they yell cut, I pull down the levers on the volume.
Right.
Basically, like I turn you off so that all the producers who have headsets on so they can hear while you're rolling, that they can't hear your in-between conversation. Well, he left it up. And the director of photography, he don't like this. He don't like all this shit talking. And he threw the kid up against a wall. He wasn't a kid. He was like in his 20s. And he was like, listen, I don't give a who you are. You're not going to talk shit about me like on my set. And I was like, that's awesome.
We need more of that.
More
physical
altercation.
Yeah, physical altercations. Because you'll run your mouth until you get, until that happens.
It honestly leads me, Josh, are you comfortable going into What Are You Nuts? Because it honestly leads me straight
Well,
into
and
mine.
I want to, what was I going to say? It doesn't matter. Oh, no, it doesn't. But anyway, I was going to plug, I just did my first movie, and it was a really cool experience, but it's called Tuesday's Flu. And I had an organic tie into that, but I lost it. So
all right,
go ahead.
we'll come back to Tuesday's Flu.
I liked it.
But my What Are You Nuts based on physical altercations. By the way, What Are You Nuts? I'm sure that you've heard the podcast,
Yes,
but
yes.
it's people, places, and things, gripes with just the state of the world and the way that we complain about people. But I don't know if this is specific to New York. I feel like it could be. But traffic cops in general are the biggest What Are You Nuts of all time. But I recently, within the last year, I started to realize, traffic cops have absolutely no authority. They don't have ticket books. If I were to flip them off, run them over, make a right when they're telling me not to make a right, they can't get me in trouble. They can't do anything. They wear a vest, but they have no power, no nothing.
As your attorney, I would probably, as an attorney, try not to hit them with your car.
Yeah,
But
no.
flick it
So
off.
this woman this morning, I'm trying to make a right turn. I'm allowed to make a right turn. By the way, Josh, can you hear the sirens?
A little bit. It's a thing sometimes with your studio, but it's okay.
Okay, it's okay.
Marshall
Okay.
will tell us if it's bad.
Okay, cool. Just I could wait for it to pass. It's just
It's okay.
it's fine. Okay. All right. So this morning with this traffic cop, I'm going to make a right turn, and you can make a right turn. There is no sign that says you can't make a right. I can make a right. The traffic cops don't get to determine street laws. The law is I can make a right. Just because this traffic cop today feels like I shouldn't make a right doesn't mean I need to make a right. I need to make a right. It's where I live. I said, ma'am, I live on this block. I need to park my car. I need to make a right. She's like, you can't make a right here. So I go around her because I'm going to make a right. She literally lunges in
Hell of a
front.
move.
She lunges
Good for
in
her.
She lunges in front. She's like, you're not making a right, sir. I'm like, I'm making a fucking right. I live here. Move. She's like, I'm not making a right. You're going to have to hit me. And so, of course, I moved on. I didn't make a right. I didn't run her over. And I didn't need the counsel for me to tell me that, but it's nice to hear it anyways that I shouldn't run over traffic cops. And all that I have to say is, what are you, nuts? I know that I've painted myself as the villain in this story. It's them. The traffic cops are the villains. They're creating traffic that doesn't need to exist. The fact that I can't make a right cost me 20 seconds, cost everybody behind me another light.
Sounds like she's highly passionate.
She is highly passionate for no reason.
Great point, Craig.
Get another job.
Highly
what are you,
passionate.
nuts?
Wait.
Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
Listen to your counsel, Ben. That's all I was going to say.
I'm
Listen to your
listening.
hired counsel.
I'm listening.
We have a great legal mind here.
listening.
Ruth Bader Conover over here.
As a
RBC.
as a new New Yorker, kind of a minor New Yorker, I have been trying to figure out traffic cops because when we went golfing one day, you were very passionate about it that day, and I've started to pick up on what you were saying though. So like, I don't have the information to crap on them yet, but I have yet to see their influence
There's no
for
positive
good.
influence from a traffic cop. There's no situation where a traffic cop goes into a place with traffic and makes less traffic. They only make more traffic, and then all the places that need them, they're not there.
Today,
and
there
we're
was one
paying
just
for it.
standing in a lane, and he was blocking the entire lane. I was very confused.
Very confused. So, what are you, nuts?
My what are you nuts is so recently I was with a friend who's in the restaurant business and he invited me to go check out his new restaurant, and I go to use the facilities and he's got a urinal there, gorgeous,
Nice.
new. Toto. I don't know if it was Toto. And what Ben?
No, I didn't know Toto made urinals. I was simply I was curious.
I don't think they do.
I mean, if they do, then they have like self-drying wiener technology. Like if Toto, right? We should do that.
They should have one. A little arm comes out and gives it a little shake. Because if you get that on your undies, I guess Craig doesn't have to worry about that.
No drip. It's just right into his socks.
I have to really pay attention to the shaking. Have you been on the new Japanese toilets that have the warm dryers and everything?
No.
Yeah, those are amazing.
Yeah, they basically like talk to you. It's a very intimate experience with the toilet.
Does it also have a bidet though? So it lubricates you up and then it dries you?
So like the bidet thing, I don't understand when you have to go use a side one. Like I haven't used the additional toilet, like when it's
the classic bidet.
Yeah, I don't
Roman,
know how that works. But the all-in-one I have, and it's very interesting, and you actually do get hooked.
Wow.
On it.
So clean, so efficient.
Toto, you got to get on that. Continue, Josh.
So I'm using the urinal, and he's got the ice. He has ice at the bottom of the urinal near the urinal cake. I don't know if you guys have had experience with this, but it's the best because now it's become a little video game. I'm like, oh, I'm going to melt the ice, you know? So I do this pee-pee. And for anyone who doesn't know, because I know we have a lot of female listeners.
If it's concaved, it can come back. So good.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a big whiskey stone.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's
There. And at a lot of bars, there's ice in the urinal for you to pee. So I mentioned this to my buddy, and he goes, you know why the ice is there, right? And I go, why? He says, because it encourages men to piss in the urinal. It gives them something to like target at instead of like pissing all over the floor. And I'm like, men, what are you, nuts? Are we so despicable that we can't get our piss in the fucking urinal, that we need a video game to incentivize us to land our pee-pee in the urinal?
Yeah, we're nuts, and I've actually seen that in bars. There's some bars where there's a little basketball hoop at the bottom next to the urinal cake where you're trying to pee in the hoop.
I mean, men are pretty dumb. I mean, it's funny because I didn't know what the purpose was until you said that, but it's very simple. And for maybe a female listening that's like, well, why would that work? Like it takes something as simple as that to work. Like I get it and it works. Like
yeah, I mean, totally.
Yeah,
it works.
Men can be
no, we're disgusting. We're absolutely
species.
Disgusting. That's it. We're gross. We're gross.
We're so gross. Craig, do you have anything?
No, I felt, actually this is what goes on in my head. I felt bad for how long some of my answers were, and I feel like your sister had other questions, so you can tell her I felt bad. I didn't know if she had a real juicy one that she wanted, but
no. Do you have a "What are you nuts" or no?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
How many protests can happen in one city at one time? Getting here was like, and I'm not saying that there aren't valid reasons, but when I just left our apartment, which is we're 15 blocks away, there was 3 strikes or protests on 6th Ave, 3 separate different ones. And I was like, I've just never experienced anything like that. And I was like, what are you, nuts? Like people are trying to drive here. And the one I couldn't figure out, they were outside of a restaurant and said, we are willing to strike. That's what the sign said. They said, we are willing to strike. And I was like, this is amazing. But the signage didn't have what organization it was. And I like really tried to tell what they were threatening to strike.
New Yorkers are very passionate. My favorite is you drive past, maybe it's a restaurant or a financial institution, you just see a huge blow up rat. I don't know if you come in contact with any of those.
Yeah.
There's just a big rat. And you don't know what's going on. You just know that the guy in there is a scumbag. That's what they're trying to tell you. There's like a 200.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a 200-foot rat. And they're telling you that inside of there's a rat. There's somebody in there that's a scumbag.
I thought it was like an exterminator advertisement.
See, they don't even know. They don't even know. They're not telling you what they're fighting for. They're not pushing their agenda. The big blow up rat is to say that the guy inside of the jewelry store is a huge cocksucker that doesn't pay his bills.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
May I, and forgive me, I don't know if my sister-in-law is being pretty aggressive with these questions, but
it's okay.
Can I give you two that I picked of hers and
Yes.
see how you feel?
It would be hard to reinvent the wheel here, but I would be impressed.
Okay. I heard you mention a Shep. Did you actually know that Shep was cheating on Taylor multiple times, minus seeing what he saw at Levis Bar?
Oh, this is a good one because we just filmed our reunion this past week, which is always a heck of a day. We're talking about a long shoot. But this brings stuff up from 2 seasons ago. Yes, I did. And the context to this is the first time or two Taylor was made aware of the infidelity. She chose to stay with Shep. After that happens in a relationship, you cannot become the town tattletale. And that every time something happens, you run and tell your friend's girlfriend that something's going on. The reason being that I think that you have a huge decision to be made when it first happens. But then if she's aware of it and she chooses to not do anything, then I don't think you have a responsibility to go back and tell. But
Right.
yeah.
You're not the cops.
Right. I
I
mean,
understand.
that's, yeah.
So you went one time. She understands.
Yeah.
Cheater.
Like I don't have jurisdiction over.
Yeah.
Yes, unfortunately, a cheater's a cheater. And,
Cheater's a cheater. Of which,
So not bad. Not
of which
bad.
we are not. We're good guys. Great guys.
No, we are the good guys. I'm not willing to give up my sunshine of the spirit for a little strange on the side. I don't know about you boys.
Hell no.
I've never heard that, but I like it.
It's great. Turned into a brief.
Next and final. What do you think of Carl and Lindsay's breakup of Summer House?
That's a good one too. I'll tell you, they have a really good. You have a really good season of Summer House coming up, and I think what's funny is when the breakup first happened, Southern Charms press tour had just started. So I'm the first one out there from our show doing the press tour. Everyone's question is that. So I'm commenting and everyone's like, why does Craig think he's the one that can talk to this? And I'm like, guys, what do you want me to do? Like, so my answer back then is the same now, is that everyone's questions will be answered when they watch Summer House. This didn't happen off the books. Like this was and it didn't come out of nowhere. And that was what I tell people is like, I don't have one side or the other, but I had great conversations with both sides this summer and that they had stuff to work through. And the nice thing is that it's completely internalized. Like only Carl and Lindsay were involved with this. They asked other people advice, but no one was really, no one was inserting themselves. And so you'll get to see the buildup to that, whether it's valid or not, and then you'll get to see the breakup. So I think it's going to be a good season. And last year, there was a lot of infighting with the cast. I think this year it's more the couples arguing and more friendship and stuff. So, yeah, you'll get to see it all.
Wow.
Hot off the press.
Can you imagine breaking up on TV? I mean, do you watch unscripted TV as a scripted actor? 90 Day?
I do.
90 Day Fiance?
I do watch unscripted. I'm trying to think. Well, I like old school. The Mount Rushmores, the Guy Fieri franchises, or as he would say, Fieri.
The Mount Rushmore, Josh, is Dr. Nazardin. Come on.
Yeah.
My 600-pound life. Thank
that's
God.
a
It's
good
all the
one.
doctors.
That's a good one.
Great
It's
show.
Botched, Dr. Nassif, Dr. Dubrow. God, what a dream.
So
I mean,
rich. So freaking rich. How are they so rich?
open invite to come on the pod, boys. Open
They're,
invite.
Yeah, and
He's a
maybe they
nice
do.
guy.
By the way, that would have been great, Josh. Live cosmetic surgery for the under eye from
I
Terry
already-
Dubrow
I
himself.
know.
Imagine he did it live.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I do enjoy it. And then my wife will rope me into certain things where I'm just like, wow, I cannot believe. And I'm the ultimate Jersey Shore fan. I've watched it since day one. I can't walk away.
I
So
finally just met, in passing, JWoww. But in a full decade of doing this, I'd never met the boys. And I was such a fan, so I still am, of Jersey Shore. But But yeah, I was just saying it because it's so normal to me now to like live out your personal relationships on TV, but being like commenting on it in this aspect, I'm like, it is kind of bananas that some of like the darkest times of your life are
I can't even imagine.
shared with the world. Like a called off wedding is pretty serious.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah. In another life, I want to be. In another life, I want to work on Below Deck any season. I think having a job on a fucking cruise ship where you're hooking up, you're going to cool cities, you're working hard for like a week, then you're docking and you're crushing. Seems like an awesome time. You're blowing up water animals and flipping jet skis and whatnot. Sometimes the rich person who's booked the cruise wants to sleep with you and you're like, okay. Seems awesome.
you thought about this.
Awesome.
Yeah, I do. My wife knows. She knows what's up.
I'm in. I'll be the chef on the cruise. You can be the captain. You'll replace that old man. What's his name? What's the older guy?
Captain
I
Lee.
feel like this is something
What's his
Marshall
name?
would know.
Captain Lee.
Captain Lee.
It's Captain Jason's on there now.
Captain Lee.
Can anyone get close to Andy Cohen? I feel like he's a myth.
Yeah, I love Andy. Andy's great.
Wow.
He's one of my favorite parts about doing all of this is the relationship that I was able to curate with Andy, and he's just as fun as you would hope.
And what's the introduction like? Like, we're here with Southern Charm. We've got your favorite no underwear wearing man. It's Craig Conover.
It's always something snarky.
That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
I was going to say, Josh, when you were delivering the questions to Craig, I knew you were doing your Andy impression. I knew it. I was actually just, we don't know him, but we were just at Jingle Ball. Mm-hmm. We were the only people that weren't 14 besides Andy Cohen. And Andy was in front of us wearing that like farmer outfit that he just got dragged on, that he commented on like page 6 or whatever. He like wore like, it was like big baggy blue jeans and like a full like checkered farmer, something that Josh would wear.
Right.
Thank you.
He's like, yes.
But he does seem just fantastic. He does. Andy, if you want to come on the show,
Hard worker.
you just let us know.
You guys, yeah. Next time I go and watch What Happens, you should come.
Great.
Dream.
Let's do it.
Craig, thank you for being here, man. This was great. Is there anything else you want to plug?
I always forget, so this time I will. Listen to our podcast, Pillows and Beer. Maybe I say maybe. We would love to have you all if you ever have time to come on to Pillows and Beer. And sewingdownsouth.com. Check out the home decor company that, is that I started a couple years ago and is continuing to grow. Maybe some last minute gifts. But if you want throw pillows or blankets or whatever it may be for the home, Sewing Down South.
Have you ever met a more confident king? We're incredibly confident. I'm just saying, the man just started an empire of home decor. It's unbelievable. Like the way that I'm jealous, I can't even tell you. Josh, you want him to send you a pillow?
Yeah, I'm definitely.
I'd love a pillow. I agree. And no cap, as the kids say.
No cap.
You're very impressive, Craig. I mean, you're a lawyer. You're a reality TV star. Your businesses are crushing. I'm very impressed. And you know what? You're a mensch. You're a nice guy.
Thank you.
And listen, if we ever went to dinner together and we bumped hips and I knew that I was within, 1/8 of an inch of your junk because you have no underwear on, I'd be okay with it.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a gradual change.
We're going to get you some underwear. Okay. But you should get a check from someone. You might as well do that, or just put them at Sewing Down South or something. Make them like hand knit panties. You crochet your own panties. That could be the. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the journey. It's time to start it, but I just can't imagine having like anything on like a 4-hour flight.
And I can't imagine having my nuts up against my jeans. So it is to each their own, folks. This has been wonderful. 5 out of 5. 5 stars. If not 5 stars,
Rate it,
what are you,
review
nuts? Send it to a friend. We need more friends. You
Thanks
send it
for-
to a friend. The friend sends it to
You
a
know
friend.
you're
the friend
going to
sends it a
get
friend.
someone will Papa ought to be like, I really don't like Shep on his show though, and click 1 star, and you're like, that has nothing to do.
Nothing.
with
Don't
us.
do that.
Nothing. So-
Don't you take
so-
out your Shep anger at us.
Nothing. So give us 5 stars. Even if you hated Craig, still 5 stars. It's us. He's
Yeah,
here once.
these
He's here
boys.
once. Don't take it out on us. I'm just kidding. Craig was fantastic.
This is my hat.
And that's his good guy's hat. Look at this hat. Look at this guy. He's promo. It's fantastic. You guys have all received your merch. We're loving it. Look at this sweatshirt. It's gorgeous. I'm so warm. For whatever reason, today in New York, it's 55 degrees. 55 degrees. What are you, nuts? It's middle of December. I'm boiling hot in here. 5 stars, because anything else would be a complete tragedy.